some truth with a little bit of announcement, everybody. And that announcement is, in order to be the man, you've got to beat the man, right? I've heard enough of this trash talk coming out of here saying George Beatty ain't this, George Beatty ain't that. Keep George Beatty out your name. If you're talking about wholesaling, though, you better be talking George Beatty. If you're talking hard money, if you're talking private lending, you had better be talking about my man here, Ian Walsh, coming at you with the HMD logo. I want to show you guys. These are $650 loafers. I've got $100 foot cushioner things in these things. These are Santoni flat foot, flat bottom shoes. They're from Italy. This is a $90 Lululemon polo shirt. I got a $70 haircut, including tip.
You're walking around at what, 2G? Just a standing.
Well, no,
2G?
This is also a $10,000 Rolex.
Ooh,
so yeah, bang.
Ooh.
Yeah, your boy George Beatty stays flying first class, stays wearing Italian shoes. The Rolex wearing, sunglass slinging, wholesale deal riding son of a gun is here. So if you're here, you're ready. It's your boy George Beatty. It's your boy Ian Walsh, and we've got a great show for you today. If you like that spiel, if you like that Ric Flair, George Beatty, Ric Flair of real estate chat, smash that like button, leave me a comment, let me know you're here, and most importantly, share the feed. If you want something from me, if you want something from Ian, we notice when you share. So if you want us to like you, share the feed. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and share this right now from my own Facebook. You want to know why, everybody? Because we need to get the message out. And the message is you can do anything you put your mind to, as long as you're willing to learn or coachable. And, you're not averse is the right word, to hard work. I think that's the right word. Is averse the right word?
Sounds good. Roll with it.
All right, I'm just going to go ahead and
that was amazing.
I'm going to share this feed, baby. I'm going to click that share button. I'm going to write a little post. I clicked the share button now. I didn't write a post because it's easier to do for my mobile. Share that feed, baby. Click that share button. Hit that comment button. Smash that like button, people, because it's important. You're important, and we're important to you. If you want to get this message out, click that share button.
I swear none of this is scripted. For everybody watching, it's not scripted. George goes,
does this look scripted? Does this look scripted? Oh, God. Whew.
When I was listening to the podcast, George is flexing at the camera.
Did you see that forearm muscle, baby? This doesn't just happen. Look at that. Look at that. You seen that dancing? You see that? My forearm muscle rides in limousines. I will ride in nothing but UberX. I will ride.
Holy cow. Welcome
everyone.
Welcome everyone. Welcome.
Hey, Joe.
Joe,
I'm going to be late for the conference call today. And this is why. I love you.
What time's your conference call?
2. I double booked today, but I'm going to make everything work.
What time is it now?
1:47.
1:47?
No, I'll get on only 2:15. It'll be fine.
Okay.
I'm really enjoying this conversation. I'm going to have the same conversation with you that I'm probably going to have with the conference
Okay.
call.
What are you going to talk about with Joe? Joe's a good guy.
Probably hiring, personality assessments, things like that.
I like Joe.
The crew.
He's a disciplined dude.
Joe. Well, basically, you know what? Let's just take an intro from another show and start copying it onto these things. I can have Caroline do that. We can have someone from Fiverr do it. And then we don't have to say the episode number or anything like that. We can just kind of roll it. You want to do that? Sold. So, Ian, based upon his reaction just then, I can tell something about his personality. He's probably a high D type. D stands for like domineering or like decisive, right? So makes decisions quickly, takes action, probably is better suited to be in some type of a senior position or a sales position, and is able to instinctively make calls in relatively a short period of time, right? So the flip side of that, or the opposite side of that, is typically your accountant type of person, or like your administrative type person, or a bureaucrat, somebody that needs a system, needs somebody else to make the decision for them. And if they have to do it on their own, needs to get like 10 estimates, needs to look at every single consumer report in order to make a decision. Now, I know you do make competent decisions and you do kind of slow your roll generally with like, I think stocks, and I know you're involved in some other stuff.
I focus at critical times.
But, which is a good, everybody's versatile, but I think that one of Ian's natural dominating tendencies is a high D type, and his other natural dominating tendency is going to be a high C or conscientious, which means follows the system, likes to get a lot of information. And those two things in conjunction are typically where the best leaders come from, or those that follow a system and can make decisions quickly, which would say why you're involved in so many different businesses, why you found success in hard money lending, and also why people like you, and also that you have run other businesses successfully in the past.
So George knows me because, it's super interesting about personality tests. So the reason we're talking about this is that George, holy shit,
that woo!
That chair almost ended your day.
Yeah, that was almost pretty bad.
That was almost pretty bad. So we're talking about personality tests. George texted me the other day because he's going through the hiring process. Now, by the way, if you are looking for a job, George's company is super cool. Got a cool crew. I would recommend reaching out to George because it is a good fit and they don't open up often. What are you looking for right now, George, by the way?
Entry-level sales rep, appointment setter.
Okay.
You should expect to make around $35,000 a year.
Cool. So we were talking about personality tests, and we were kind of going back and forth in a text message just about like what they can offer, before making a decision on somebody and how much you can know about somebody. And I think one of my texts back to you was like, it's amazing how predictable we all are. No matter how unique or individual you really think you are, you're really not.
Yeah.
You're just one of those four. You're a D, you're a C,
or combination.
Or a combination.
Like a combination of two.
And once you pin that down, you go, this is most likely a decision this person's going to make. Like you could just tell by the way that it's going to, like,
less so you can tell the decision that, or at least using that just strictly the personality system, but how they will behave in a group and how they will behave in a given position within a company.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So like, so I'm the first time I took a DISC with DISC DISC exam or personality assessment, I was like an 88D and a 99I, which is like nearly the highest you can get in both categories. And my S and my C score were like nearly 0. Mm-hmm. Right. So like doesn't use systems, makes decisions really quickly, super personable, like perfect salesperson. That's like a perfect salesperson's assessment, right? So people's DISC profile, especially when you're in your 20s, can change every like 2 years. In your early 20s, they can change every 6 months, right? Like the way that you naturally perform in a group, they won't change like 100% of the direction, but they'll change. So since I've been running a business and like really focusing on like what's the system behind things that work, like how can I spin a plate on top of a stick and make sure it keeps spinning? Because that's like sort of like what building a business is to me. That's how I visualize it. My D score has lowered. I'm probably like a 65D, and my C score is probably around 40 instead of being around 10. I'm still a very high I, but I've adjusted those two things to become more in line because I need to be versed in systems. I need to use systems in making decisions and pay attention to how things are working and compartmentalize and identifying different steps of the process because I'm in charge of everything.
So interesting. So I'm going to go a little bit deeper into that. So one of the things I think we've mentioned in prior podcasts that I always picked up about you is that you adapt very quickly. Mm-hmm. So you've actually adapted the DISC elements. So where would an adaptation fall in that chart?
An adaptation in terms of like, how would I play my strengths?
Somebody who's malleable, somebody who is able to move fluidly through decision making, like where would that fall in that? Because it's somewhere that's going to be classified in there.
So there's two pieces to the DISC. There's your natural tendencies and your adaptive tendencies. Natural tendencies is how you'll operate after you've been doing a job for, let's say, 6 months. Adaptive is how you'll look to everybody else and how you'll perform when you think you're being watched before you get comfortable, right? Okay. So you can run into somebody that's like example, excellent salesperson for the first 3 to 6 months. And then someone that's like, what the fuck happened to you? Why are you? And by the way, Steve, I'm swearing again. I love you. I'll buy you dinner. It's just me.
It's just me. It's not you.
So, and then you're like, why is this person not performing? What's going on with this? Their adaptive I score could be very high, meaning that they really like dealing with people when they're being watched and they think everybody wants them to be dealing with people and be very personable, tell a lot of jokes, but their natural tendency might be a little bit more like not wanting to talk to anybody.
Ooh, I fit in that category.
Right.
Sometimes when I'm in a group, like I get that. I think like people expect me to be a certain way. And like, I guess you can throw that switch on and sometimes it's fun. Sometimes it's cool. It's fine. But like the majority of me is probably introverted.
Right. Yeah, and that's fine. Best salespeople are introverts, I think they say. Yeah. So an example of how I would use that adaptively, if I knew that about myself, because the most important thing is you have to know it about yourself. Because if you don't know it, you can't do anything about it.
True.
So if I knew that to be true about myself, I would limit the amount of time that I was doing new sales positions, and I would focus strictly on like big accounts that had a medium length sales cycle. Medium length sales cycle being 2 or 3 months. I would do a few of them that meant I kept getting paid like insurance, let's say insurance sales, where you get paid for the next couple of years on that deal. That might be a better fit for that type of salesperson than like what I used to do selling windows, where I'm in front of a new person every night. And every night I have to kill something if I want to eat. Every night I have to go out and do that. Right. So if your natural pattern links up with that, you'll do well with it, and you'll do well with it for a long period of time. If that does not link up, you'll be short-term successful at something. So what a lot of people do if you see somebody looking for a new job every, let's say, year or every like couple of years, and they're moving from like the same job to the same type of job, more than likely their adaptive way of behaving, they're finding success with it until they're not, and then they go find a new job. So for instance, I recently had an ad up for a salesperson, and I was getting people, and I was just like trying to get a feel for who they were by their history, which is very hard to do. So this guy who applied for the job, who actually I used to work with selling windows, he didn't know it was my job that he was applying to, but I knew the guy. And I looked at his job history, and it was like 5 years in this thing until he was like probably 23, based upon the age that I know he is. And after that, every year to 18 months, it was a new sales job. So what that says to me is like, he probably is very good at this, makes a lot of money doing it, but his natural personality type is probably not suited to being in commission sales, or not suited to be in that type of sales.
Commission sales, right?
Right. But because that's where the most monetary value for him is, he keeps doing it. So that person might be happier. I'm just going to use this as an example, like being a secretary, or like being in a bureaucracy, or like doing something that like you're not responsible to eat what you kill every night, like a salesperson is. He'd probably be happier doing that, though would make less money. So if he knows that about himself, maybe that's why he is getting new jobs all the time. But that's something that's an example of how that like manifests in real life and can affect you or your company. So like, do you want to hire somebody like that?
Right. You know,
right.
Like, well, maybe you're in a position where you go, we need a short-term cash infusion for the next 6 months.
What's your business?
Right.
And what position? So like that person is putting themselves in a seat where he's short-term good, but long-term not. He's not a bad person or employee, but he's looking to apply his strengths and natural tendencies the wrong way.
Right.
Does that make sense?
That makes a ton of sense, man. I think so. Let's lead that into, you introduced this to me yesterday, which was, what was it called? The Kolbe?
It's the Kolbe A index.
Kolbe A index. Can you, so a lot of people are familiar with DISC, may or may not have used it. How is the Kolbe A index different?
So my boy Joe actually got me in looking at Kolbe's. I'm not as versed in the Kolbe index as I am in DISC, because I used to DISC girls I was dating just to like get a feel for it.
You're an expert then.
Yeah. Yeah. The Kolbe.
Wait. How did you get the girls to take this?
On the third date, I'd be like, hey, I'm experimenting with this new thing. Would you mind taking this? Here's mine. And some of them would just be laughing, be like, you're fucking nuts. And then some of them would take it and send it to me. And then it just helped me be like, okay, this is why they're doing this. This is an example of why. Or X and Y, not Y.
So did they take it and then would immediately result in not a fourth date, or did you like make it seem like it wasn't?
No, most of the time I wouldn't go on a fourth date, because like I'm kind of a nut job. I mean, let's just like put that out there, right? Like okay. I'm kind of nuts, right? Yeah, or any variety of other things based upon my previous dating history. Love you, Grace. She's probably watching this. Yeah. So, but it would say, okay, this person's a high S. So what I noticed with women, the majority of women that I would give a DISC assessment to have a very high S score. By the majority of, I mean all but one.
Really?
Ever. And I've DISC'd probably 15 or 20 women. Yeah.
So I would say, I know we're joking about this, but like, honestly, this should be every sort of dating situation, right? Like women should be able to give this to men. Men should be able to give this to women. And forget about eHarmony. I'm sure eHarmony is like a fluffed up version of a DISC test, effectively.
Yeah, they're a personality test.
So like, why not? It's not rude. It's not mean. In fact, I like that you gave it to them. You're like, hey, this is me. This is you. Yep. Are we gonna work? Nope. Okay. Like, let's move on.
Right. You don't want to put all your decision-making capacity in a personality assessment, but some, yes, I think you should.
Sure. Or you should at least know what you're dealing with.
It's part of my hiring funnel for sure. I've given some type of personality assessment to all of my employees. Now the Kolbe Index A, which I showed you mine yesterday, you showed me mine, I'll show you yours, right? That is a mandatory. It costs me $50 every time I do it. So once I get closer to hiring somebody, I'll have them take that.
I liked it. I liked the results. Yeah. Explain to everybody why that's different than the DISC though.
So the DISC is like, well, the DISC is free, and it mostly tells you how you communicate in a group and like some of your natural like personality tendencies. The DISC is the Kolbe Index you spend money on it. So it's a little bit more in depth. And they also have video or audio explanations of what each thing means and like actionable examples of what each thing means, like in a workplace. So it tests 4 things: fact finding, follow up, quick start, and implementation, right? So, and it gives you a score between 1 and 10 for each thing. And the higher your score is for each thing, the more likely you are to do that thing and like be good at that thing. The lower it is, like the lower. So like fact finder, for instance, I think I was popped up as either a 7 or an 8 fact finder. So a fact finder means I like to get a lot of information. I like to probe a lot and like have a lot of data. I like to get a lot of facts, get a lot of data.
To go deep.
Yeah. So that for me manifests in like, okay, I'm going to hire somebody. I want to get a personality assessment. I want them to interview with my team members. So it's not just me. I want to see their resume. I want to get a feel for who they really are and not just who they think they want, or not just what they think I want them to be. Because that's how people are in interviews. Right? It's just, I was that way. It's just the way humans are.
Yeah.
Then there's the follow-up or follow-through, which is like, do you do what you say you're going to do? Or like, will you do the same thing over and over again every single day and like make sure tasks are completed? So my score on follow-up is like a 2, right? I'm like very low follow-through. So how that manifests for me in real life is I'll come up with an idea from doing all this fact finding and get all this data, and then I won't follow up with it. So how I compensate that in my business is I'll make a video of me doing it or doing something, and then pass it off to a team member, or I'll like master one thing, make a bunch of videos, write everything down, which is difficult for me to do in that moment, but then it's done. We have it forever, or I'll pass it off to somebody.
You know, what's interesting about that fact follow through is, and you found the solution to it, is that
most entrepreneurs have a low follow through, by the way,
which is the reason that most people are entrepreneurs and not entrepreneurs.
Correct.
Like that is the thin line that I found in entrepreneurs have fantastic ideas. They tend to be visionary. In general, they just gravitate towards it. The majority of them that fail are just, they have no follow through. So if you don't have any follow through, you found the way to adapt. You found the thin line that you were like, I can do what I want to do and
play your strength, adapt your weakness.
Yeah. Yep. So like, I think there's a lot of people potentially watching this, and by a lot, I mean 7. That hopefully,
we got one on YouTube too.
Oh, we got one on YouTube. Hey,
yeah,
YouTube,
we got 8 people.
Woo! YouTube.
Woo!
Go to YouTube. Check it out. So, I really feel that if you're trying to get a business going, a lot of people are like this because it's right. So when you're an entrepreneur, right, you have that exciting moment. It's a new shiny object. You're driving towards something, like you get charged up. I get it. I have that in me too. You have that in you. I've learned to overcome over the years. Like I have a lot of follow through in what I do. Like I just am that person now. And I probably changed since early 20s to that person. You found a way. I had to bulldoze to get myself in that position. Yep. You were just like, oh, I'll just adapt.
Yep.
And your adaptation method, which was, okay, I know this is what I do. Instead, here's how I'm going to handle these situations. So you actually are following through, but you're doing it in a different method.
I'm leveraging.
You're leveraging a follow through. And I think that's huge. I mean, how many entrepreneurs do you know, or entrepreneurs do you know, that are just great idea? Never. It's the guy who goes, oh, I should have invented that. Oh, I thought of that invention 20 years ago. Why did you do it? You had no follow.
You didn't fucking do it.
You didn't do it.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as a business idea. You didn't make it come to fruition. So anyways, that was my take on that.
That's great. Yeah. The other 2 are quick start and implementation. I think my implementer was like 4, but my quick start's also really high. It's like a 9 or something like that.
Yep.
So like I start doing things. What's up, Evan? What's up, Chris? So I start doing things immediately with some facts, take action right away, get started on something. It's why I've always been good at beginning new things, but I need to pass them off before I become responsible to do everything with it.
Or bored of them, really.
Or bored, right. The implementation score, I think mine was sort of in the middle. Implementation is like how likely you are to like read the directions when you're putting together something from IKEA, or like put things together, use an existing system, right? So a high implementer will use an existing system and put things together. So here's how it affects your hiring decisions. I want people that work closely with me, or at least some of them, to be the opposite of me, and their strengths should mimic my weaknesses.
Because they're going to be comfortable doing the things that you're not comfortable with, and vice versa.
Exactly. So Caroline, my assistant, for instance, has a showed up as an extremely high follow-up, but a very low quick start. So like, I think also she had a low D. And by the way, just guys, there's no right or wrong way to be. It's just who you are.
Yeah, right? It's totally fine.
So Caroline is basically like a perfect like executive assistant and like sort of a handler for me, because she follows up with things. I can say something to her and say, hey, XYZ, get this done, and she'll do it. So, but here's where I have miscommunications with her frequently is because I'm a high D type and just a super high quick start. I'll basically bark something at her and say, "Hey, go do this." I won't give her any direction. I won't give her any system.
And she has to fill the gaps.
And she has to fill up, which her natural tendency is like not as good with because she's so excellent at these other things. So me adapting to that and being able to leverage it right is, and I'm not, and Caroline, if you're watching this, I'm not perfect at this yet, which but I'll adjust I'll increase the amount of direction that I'm giving, say why I want something done, and the end result goal that I want, right? So instead, to give you an example, instead of me saying, "Hey, go duplicate this campaign," or like, "Go duplicate this," which to me, I know exactly what I want because I'm in it all the time, and I just expect other people to know that.
Yeah. It's expect people to read your mind. I do that
right.
all the time.
Yeah, and I do. Right, I do that. You do that. So instead, I say, "Hey, Caroline, duplicate this campaign with these details because I want to split test this against this and have the end result is like decreasing our cost per lead." So like, for instance, she messes around with that stuff all the time. So she might have a cool idea or this or that, or like she'll get more of the stuff to sort of like not only leverage her strengths and weaknesses, but leverage my strengths and weaknesses the right way. But that's how it affects a hiring decision. Because if I hire somebody that I like them because they're like me, we're not going to get anything done.
You're done.
Right. So in partnerships, especially when you've got a lot of partnerships and like work is being divided, you need, and this is even more important with a partnership, let alone an employee, is this person in the right seat for this thing? And like, if you don't have some type of assessment or some type of third-party measurement system, because the third-party measurement system, whether the Colby test that you have them take it as right or wrong, you're still using a system in your head, which should increase your effectiveness and decrease the problems. If you use a system, whether the system's right or wrong, the fact that you're using one, assuming that it's decent, should help you, right? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, that's like that's why it's so important for hiring. So it's like, okay, what's the seat that I want this person to fill? And another cool example of this. So so Antoine, who's our current appointment setter, is going to be moving into our sales department, which is like a great promotion. I'm super excited, and I think he's going to do really well. Our current transaction coordinator, Kayla, also interviewed. Be good at it, but she would end up hating it and it wouldn't last. But I saw something in her and I thought that she had a lot of heart, and I was just like, what seat